The arrival. The moment aliens realized they messed with the wrong planet, the vastness of space stretched out in all directions, an infinite black void speckled with distant stars. Somewhere within this cosmic expanse, a small, unassuming planet orbited the yellow star, Earth. For eons it had gone unnoticed by the rest of the galaxy, its inhabitants blissfully unaware of the grander stage on which the universe played out. But that was about to change. In the year 2147, deep within the Milky Way in a sector controlled by the Xenon, a highly advanced and expansionist alien race, a blip appeared on a sensor array. It was faint, almost negligible, but it was there. The sensor operator, a creature with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes, blinked in surprise. The signal was ancient, primitive by Xenon standards, but it had been transmitted with intent. The signal, a beacon of sorts, carried a simple message: "We are here." The Xenon High Council convened to discuss this unexpected discovery. A holographic image of Earth rotated slowly in the center of the chamber, its blue oceans and green continents casting a serene glow. A pre-FTL civilization, one of the council members hissed, its voice like sandpaper on metal. They have only just begun to reach beyond their atmosphere. Their technology is rudimentary. Then why bother with them? Asked another, its tone indifferent. There are more pressing matters to attend to in the Helios cluster. The Xenon overlord, a towering figure draped in regal armor, leaned forward. Because, Councillor Vow, it is our duty to bring order to the galaxy. Even the smallest spark can ignite a flame. We will snuff out this spark before it has a chance to grow. There was no further debate. The decision was made. The Xenon fleet would travel to this insignificant planet and make an example of it, demonstrating the futility of resistance to the rest of the galaxy. Earth's first response. By the year 2148, the sky over New York City was a clear, crisp blue, the kind that made you forget about the worries of the world. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the storm that was brewing just beyond their reach. In the heart of Manhattan, the United Nations building was a hive of activity. Representatives from every nation were gathered for an emergency session, the first of its kind in decades. The reason: a mysterious object had been detected just beyond the orbit of Mars, moving toward Earth at an alarming speed. It decelerated the moment it entered the solar system, said Dr. Elena Reed, a leading astrophysicist, addressing the assembly. Her voice echoed through the chamber, charged with a mix of excitement and fear. This is not a natural phenomenon. We are looking at the first confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. The room buzzed with nervous energy as diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. The world had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now it seemed they had their answer. As the debate continued, the object, now confirmed to be a massive spacecraft, entered Earth's orbit. It hovered silently, a monolithic presence that cast a shadow over the world below. Panic spread like wildfire as cities across the globe went into lockdown, people retreating to their homes, glued to their screens, awaiting the inevitable. Then, without warning, the ship's underside began to glow. A beam of light shot out, descending upon the UN building. The light was blinding, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When it finally dimmed, a figure stood in the center of the chamber. It was tall and slender, its skin a shimmering silver that seemed to shift with the light. Its eyes were large and black, devoid of any discernible emotion. The room fell silent as the alien surveyed its surroundings. "I am Herax, envoy of the Xenon Empire," it spoke, its voice resonating within the minds of all present. "We have come to offer you a choice. Submit to the will of the Empire and be spared, or resist and face annihilation." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The representatives were paralyzed, their minds racing. This was not a negotiation, it was an ultimatum. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Defiance and determination. Dr. Reed, regaining her composure, stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" Herax turned its gaze to her, its expression unreadable. Your compliance. You will dismantle your military forces and surrender all scientific and technological data to the Empire. In return, you will be allowed to live under our protection as a vassal state. And if we refuse? The alien's eyes narrowed, its voice cold and unwavering. Then you will be destroyed. A heavy silence fell over the chamber, the weight of the decision crushing. But in that moment, something unexpected happened. A sense of defiance began to take root. The people of Earth had always been a stubborn species, unwilling to bow to threats. As the seconds ticked by, the resolve of the human spirit began to harden. The UN session adjourned, but the decision was unanimous. Earth would not go quietly. Military leaders from around the world were brought into the fold, and preparations for a coordinated defense began. For the first time in history, humanity was united against a common enemy. The Xenon ship remained in orbit, monitoring the planet below. Herax had made its demands clear, and now it awaited humanity's response. It didn't have to wait long. Within hours, the first wave of missiles was launched from strategic points across the globe. They arced through the sky, leaving trails of fire as they ascended toward the alien vessel. The world watched with bated breath as the warheads closed in on their target. But just as they were about to make contact, a shimmering field of energy enveloped the Xenon ship. The missiles detonated harmlessly against the barrier, their explosions lighting up the sky in a brilliant but futile display. The ship remained unscathed. The first battle. Inside the UN war room, General Marcus Steele slammed his fist onto the table, frustration etched into his features. We need to find a way to penetrate that shield, or this fight is over before it even begins. Dr. Reed, who had been poring over data, looked up with a glimmer of hope. It's a standard energy shield, likely designed to deflect conventional weaponry. But if we can generate an electromagnetic pulse strong enough, we might be able to disrupt it long enough for our weapons to get through. How long would it take to set that up? Steele asked, his voice tense. Hours, maybe less if we can repurpose existing technology. Do it, Steele ordered. We don't have much time. As Earth's forces scrambled to implement Dr. Reed's plan, the Xenon decided that enough time had passed. Herax transmitted a final warning to Earth, but it went unanswered. The Overlord's patience had run out. From within the depths of the Xenon ship, massive ports opened, revealing rows of sleek, ominous drones. They descended upon Earth like a swarm of locusts, darkening the skies as they approached major cities. Each drone was armed with plasma weaponry far more advanced than anything humanity had ever faced. The first strikes were devastating. Cities were reduced to rubble, their inhabitants caught in the crossfire. The world watched in horror as landmarks that had stood for centuries crumbled under the onslaught. But humanity was not defenseless. Fighter jets and drones engaged the invaders in the skies, and ground forces mobilized to protect what remained of the cities. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, explosions, gunfire, the whine of engines pushing beyond their limits. Humanity's counterattack. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Reed's team completed their work. A massive EMP device, cobbled together from parts scavenged from military bases and research facilities, was ready. They had one shot, and failure was not an option. The device was activated, sending a powerful electromagnetic pulse rippling through the atmosphere. For a brief moment, the lights across the globe flickered as the pulse raced toward its target. The Xenon ship shuddered as the EMP hit, its shield flickering before collapsing entirely. On the ground, shears erupted as the once invincible ship was suddenly vulnerable. Earth's forces seized the opportunity, launching a second wave of missiles, this time loaded with nuclear warheads. The warheads streaked through the sky, leaving bright trails as they approached the now exposed ship. In a blinding flash, they detonated against the hull, tearing through the Xenon vessel with unimaginable force. The explosion lit up the night sky, visible from every corner of the planet. The Xenon ship, once a symbol of unstoppable power, now became a fireball plummeting toward the Earth. It crashed into the Pacific Ocean, sending tsunamis roaring toward the coasts. But the threat was far from over. The final invasion. As the dust settled, humanity began to regroup. The destruction of the Xenon ship was a significant victory, but it was only the beginning. The Xenon Empire, far from being defeated, would not take this loss lightly. High above Earth, in the depths of space, the Xenon fleet began to mobilize. Thousands of ships, each bristling with weaponry far more advanced than anything the humans have faced so far, prepared to descend upon the small, defiant planet. Back on Earth, Dr. Reed and General Steele worked tirelessly, coordinating with the remaining global leaders to prepare for the next wave. Every resource was mobilized, every mind put to work. New weapons were designed, cities were fortified, and a global network of defenses was established. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The sky darkened as the Xenon fleet approached, their ships blotting out the stars. Earth's defenses opened fire, launching everything they had at the incoming armada. The battle that ensued was unlike anything the world had ever seen. The skies burned with the light of 1,000 explosions as ships clashed in the atmosphere, their wreckage raining down upon the Earth below. On the ground, soldiers and civilians alike fought with a ferocity born of desperation. This was their home, and they would defend it to the last breath. In the cities, in the fields, and in the depths of the oceans, humanity made its stand, the aftermath. The battle raged for days, each side refusing to yield. But in the end, it was not advanced technology or overwhelming numbers that decided the outcome. It was something far more potent, something the Xenon had not anticipated. The indomitable spirit of humanity, their refusal to surrender, their ability to adapt and innovate in the face of insurmountable odds, ultimately turned the tide. In the final hours of the battle, a small team of human engineers, led by Dr. Reed, managed to infiltrate the Xenon flagship. Using the knowledge they had gained from the wreckage of the first ship, they'd planted a device deep within the heart of the Xenon command center. The device, a prototype weapon designed to disrupt the Xenon's neural interfaces, detonated, sending a shockwave through the Xenon fleet. The Xenon, unable to control their ships, were forced to retreat, their once coordinated attack falling into disarray. As the last of the Xenon ships vanished into the void of space, a weary but triumphant cheer rose from the battered planet below. Earth had survived. The cost of victory was immense. Cities lay in ruins, millions had perished, and the scars of the battle would take generations to heal. But humanity had won. They had faced the might of the Xenon Empire and emerged victorious. As the sun rose over the devastated landscape, the people of Earth began the long process of rebuilding. In the years that followed, humanity learned much from the wreckage of the Xenon ships. They reverse-engineered the alien technology, advancing their own civilization by leaps and bounds. But more importantly, they had earned the respect of the galaxy. No longer were they an insignificant planet on the fringes of the Milky Way. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could stand tall.